Hey, are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, today I have Mingjie Zhai on the line, and she's CEO and founder over at The Love Story Media. Mingjie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam, for having me. Thank you.
All right, so I'm excited to get into today's topic. So the power of journaling your personal journey. I think it's an awesome topic, and I'm personally a journaler, so I'm excited to learn more about your platform. But before we get into that, let's go a little bit further into your personal journey. So how did you get started, and what was the concept of starting the Love Story Media?
Yeah, great question. So I was a former educator, and I was really fascinated with how to effectively reach students. And while we were really good with the core curriculum inside our schools, there was a gap in EQ, emotional intelligence. And it wasn't until 2011, during one of my major breakups, that I personally experienced deep depression. And I soon realized that the mental health system currently in America didn't work for me. This is just my personal story. The pills gave me rashes and had other side effects, and the therapy I was given, it was one-sided. I was just telling my story, but I was met with silence. So it was like an echo chamber of just listening to myself, when what I really needed was deep connection. I wanted something more that would help me in the problem I was trying to solve, which at the time I didn't know, but looking back, I realized it was a validation of what happened, and discovering through creative writing the roots of what was my personal anguish. And so I was a former curriculum designer, English department chair, speech and debate coordinator, all that jazz. So I really just took the skills of curriculum design and applied it to what I thought was actually working for me. And so 3 years in, I started traveling. I started going to adult support groups, and those really helped because people, kindred strangers, was just sharing their personal truths, and I didn't have to reveal myself. I was just listening, and over time I heard pieces of my narrative in all sorts of people's stories. And then three things happened for me. One, I felt like I was not alone. Two, there was nothing really wrong with me. I broke the mental health label that was placed upon me. And three, there's a point to my pain. And it's my personal responsibility to discover what the solution is once I understood what the problem was. And so I developed a journaling program that fuses your personal journey with the discipline and craft of a journal artist through journaling. And that's the crux of our our program inside the Love Story. It's journaling our personal journeys in creative fiction.
So what is this, and it's a great story, and I love when businesses are started and, movements are started, in my opinion, because this can be a movement here, and based off of somebody's own personal journey and them creating something that helped themselves, and especially the fact that you were leveraging all the professional side of what you already had. Like, this was your skill set. So now you could meld your background with with a new passion, so to speak, of helping others through this journaling platform. So I think it's a great story, and I want to go further into the concept that you've created. So your concept of Journal-Artism. So tell us, what it's all about and your vision for this new genre you created.
Yeah. Thank you for that. First, I want to say that I was always a writer ever since I was a little girl, and I became an English teacher and a curriculum designer. And I was fascinated. If I wasn't a teacher, my other life, I would have been a journalist. And I was very fascinated by the kind of journalism from gonzo journalism. So Frank Sinatra Has a Cold, right? Where you go and you're part of that narrative. You're engaging with the subject. You're creating a narrative portrait. And I realized, why would we just limit it to that kind of technique for other people? Can we apply that same technique of gonzo journalism towards ourselves and make ourselves the main character? And I thought about a portrait of Dorian Gray, and I thought about James Joyce and his work, specifically a portrait of a young artist as a man. And his work is semi-autobiographical, that specific piece of literature. And he was able to present it as fiction. And in that way, fiction actually gave him more freedom to go there, and there meaning certain things that you wouldn't say if it was nonfiction. So Journal-Artism is really fusing the craft of a journal artist with journaling for the personal journey. And go ahead.
No, keep on.
Oh, and anyone that pursues this craft is called a journal artist.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I'm in. This is awesome, and I can see the freedom as you're expressing this. It's almost like you can, the way as you're talking about it, I'm kind of reaching into my own journaling and just my own thoughts on how I normally write. And imagine if I was that character, like you said, and if I could go. It's almost like it lets you reach into a deeper part of you that maybe you didn't even know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
So what makes why the focus on journaling to address mental health specifically? So you've shared some of your background, of course, and how you developed it. But why do you think it's so important to address mental health through journaling?
Yeah, good question. Well, I want to say that I've had my own harrowing experience going down the rabbit hole of mental health. I was labeled. I was depressed and then diagnosed, given certain medications that actually gave me suicidal ideations, and then I was given a label of bipolar as a way to kind of address, well, the reason why you got suicidal is because if you weren't bipolar, then this wouldn't have happened, so you must be bipolar. So I got bipolar medications, and it just went down a rabbit hole for me. And I just realized that it wasn't addressing the roots. People weren't hearing me. And I'm not blaming people for not hearing me because, I get it. We're all busy. We all have lives to live. And so, it's not coming from a place of blame, like, oh, everyone hear me out. But what I realized is there's a better solution to addressing mental health issues, whether it's schizophrenia, bipolar, autism, depression, anxiety. It's they all have a common theme, which is agape love, compassion, being heard, being seen, being felt. And while we can't manufacture compassion, because I think the fundamental definition of compassion is to suffer with, I do believe that when you're at a certain level in life, and I mean, like, you know, you just recently lost someone that you are really close to, you got your heart broken, you experienced a tragedy in life, you know, it just doesn't work when you're trying to open up to someone who's on a different reality in life, you know. So it's better to be open and honest with people who have gone through similar experiences or who are going through similar experiences. And I think that level of compassion and being with each other is the beginning of transforming that specific ism. And so I think that journaling and the way we do journaling, which is not just journaling isolated, but journaling with other journal artists, and the kind of format we do in the journaling sessions, it's designed to serve ourselves as a mirror darkly, meaning like our story becomes the mirror for someone else's healing process, because they can identify pieces of our story that they can relate to. And so it's about attracting similar folks in either similar situations, similar isms, similar energy levels. And that level of compassion, I do believe, is the key to I would say, treating our mental health, a lot of our mental health issues.
So you did mention some of the differences, and I want to go further into the platform itself. So I know that the connection with other journal artists is part of it, but take us through like what being part of that community looks like. So what makes this journaling platform different from others?
Yeah, good question. So we have 3 journaling programs, and each one is designed for a specific point in your life, right? So in Greek mythology, there are 2 types of drama. There's the tragedy and there's the divine comedy. And at the love story, we believe that the tragedy is the triangle spiraling down. Imagine like a Star of David. You have 2 triangles overlapping, right? And the triangle spiraling down, the downward pointing triangle, is the tragedy. And then the upward pointing triangle is the divine comedy. And when you put it together, the 2 triangles overlapping and creates the Star of David. And that entire journey is called the love story. So our organization is building a 3-act tragedy, a 3-act divine comedy, and the historical novel, which is known as the love story. And how we do this is we actually first have everyone start with Act 1 of their 3-act tragedy. We meet people where they are, and who we are looking for are people that have recently gotten their hearts broken, people who've lost a father, a mother, a sister, a friend, and the pain is just so unbearable, right? And they feel like the world continued on spinning without them, like they're in kind of like frozen. So we're going to meet them where they are and start Act 1 with them. So Act 1 is about fear and faith. It's the lesson of how to act in faith while still facing fears. Fear of what? Fear of losing that person permanently, fear of being alone, fear of being left behind, fear of, you name it. So what we do is we bring journal artists together and we start the process of journaling together. We have meetup groups currently online, and we have our experienced journal artists ready to host and facilitate these journaling sessions. Our journaling portal at The Love Story is, 5 years worth of curation of just journal entries and artists who have openly expressed their pain of passion journeys to activate one's subconscious so that we can begin the process of journaling deep. And everyone's journal entries are very unique and nuanced, but without fail, there will be a journal entry in a journaling session that really resonates with someone else in the group, without fail. It happens every time. We've hosted over 300 journaling sessions, and without fail, every journaling session I've hosted, facilitated, there's a point of resonation. And what makes us unique is that we share our journal entries in fiction based on a true story. Our Fight Club rule is we don't ask and we don't tell what parts are nonfiction. And to further that, when we get feedback after sharing our journal entries, the feedback we get from others in the session, all they do is resonate, edit, which means they highlight the places that they could personally relate to. That's all they do. We don't comment. We don't give advice. We don't approach it from a literature standpoint. All we do is we highlight places that we can resonate with. And so this brings a space of authenticity, vulnerability, and non-judgment. So we're learning how to hold space for each other in each journaling session.
Wow, that's amazing. And it's just quite an experience here. Like that space, that connection, I can see it. And you said, can you give me that number again? You've done over 300 of these?
Yeah, we have. We spent those first 5 years curating content, right? Authentic content to trigger, activate, inspire people. And now this year, 2020, we piloted the program last year. And through that pilot, we have 5 or 6 qualified journal artists. And we've just been dedicated, just showing up 2-3 times a week and saying, this is the time we're going to facilitate these journaling circles. And we've been bringing in people from all over the states to show up at our Zoom meetings and journaling with us online.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, what a great movement that you started here, and that's amazing. And I love, 5 years of content curation to create what you're doing. I mean, it takes that type of care and that type of heart to really put this type of content out. So I think it's amazing what you're doing. So Mingjie, I can talk to you about this all day long, but we're about out of time on this episode. So if somebody is listening to this and they want to connect with the Love Story Media and they want to participate, how do they do that?
Yeah, good question. So for anyone listening out there who's interested in joining and journaling with us, please go to www.thelovestory.org. So it's thelovestory.org. We're a nonprofit, and we're national right now. We're addressing a national audience, and we just invite everyone to come.
Fantastic. Well, Mingjie, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and your journey and all the great work that you're doing over at the Love Story Media and also this genre of journal-artism that you've created. I think it's awesome, and I'm glad to bring it to my audience, and I definitely want everybody to go check that out again, and it's thelovestory.org, yes?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Again, that's thelovestory.org. Go check it out. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast, especially if you're a first-time listener. I'd love to have you come back and listen to some more episodes, have some more great guests coming up for you. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give that a subscribe. But more importantly, leave us some comments in the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Mingjie, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you, Adam.